Hello, everybody. My name is Cedric Ballard, and this is my wife.
Kimberly Ballard.
And we just wanted to come and share some encouragement with you. God has laid it upon our heart. Even last year, toward the end of the year, we did a live together, and we did it around the Christmas season. And people have been asking since then, when would we be doing something together again that we would be going on social media? And so we are going to be a little more intentional on making sure that we provide you with something as often as God gives it to us. One thing that I know for sure is um, there is something specifically happening for those of us who have truly been going forth, um, have been trying, have been struggling, have been working hard to achieve what it is that God has purposed them to do. Uh, but I have a question for you. And the question I have for you is, what is next?
Wow.
Yeah, the question I have for you in your life is, what's next for you? Uh, I've had to really wrestle with myself the last year or so about that very question. What is next? What's next? And the thing I've realized is a lot of people don't want to answer that question, either out of fear of what is to come, or out of convenience and comfort of what it is that they've been doing for some time. For instance, I've been in music ministry. I've been a gospel artist almost half my life. Matter of fact, over half my life. That's what I know. I do know that God has called me to greater things, to do more. Yes, I do minister. I do preach. I do spoken word. I do public speaking. But there's something more that God is calling for me to do. And I know I'm not by myself in that. I know there are a lot of people who have that same testimony, that same sentiment, that you're wrestling at night. Even the things that you have been doing for years at a time, it's not something that brings you the level of fulfillment that it used to, because there's something more that God would not allow you to stay in your comfort zone. He wants you to come out of that comfort zone and go into the deep. Something that is going to challenge you, but also something that's going to require your faith to trust Him in order to make sure that you go where you are supposed to go, where you're purposed to go. And I know we all have that. I know there are a lot of you that are going to be listening to this, going to be watching this, and they're going to be, the question in your head is going to be, well, what is next for me? That is something you're going to have to answer and confront and face. The reality is, it ain't easy. Whatever your next is. I know, why, if you were looking up what that word next meant, what did that word next mean? You can share that.
So the word next means to immediately following in time or order or importance.
Yeah. That means next is what's happening after your now. What's going on in your tomorrow. What has been transpiring is no longer something that you can continue to do, because God is calling you for something greater. Now, you may not want it. You may be content. You may be happy right where you are. And get it. I get it. I understand it. God does too. But if you know that there's something more and you don't follow what that more is, the question I have for you is, will you be fulfilled? Will it be something that you'll regret in the long run? You know, most of us, we go through life and we look back on our past and say, man, I wish I had done this sooner. I wish I had done this at this age. I think that's sometimes a trick of the enemy, because what that ends up doing is it causes you to somewhat be discouraged to move forward in your now, so that you can go to your next. Yeah. Your next is important. When I say next, what does next mean to you?
Well, one thing, when I'm listening to you and you're talking about next, I think that a lot of people are afraid
Yeah.
of what is next,
Yeah.
or afraid of failing at what's next.
Yeah.
Next for me is finding out what it is that God truly wants me to be doing.
Yeah.
And make sure I'm in God's timing.
Yeah.
In doing it.
Yeah. So what we're going to be dealing with for the next several times you see us together on these videos is we're going to be talking about next. Next after divorce, next after unemployment, next after you've tried something and failed. What's next? Next after death.
Yeah.
You know, people who have dealt with death and dealt with the loss of a loved one, or loss of a job, or the loss of a relationship, or the loss of whatever it may be. What's next? It's so important to figure that out, because to stay stagnant, to stay complacent, to stay in that one place, I believe is not healthy. There has to be a next that comes after, because if not, you'll find yourself reliving what it is that you have been through in your past.
Right.
And we ain't got time for that.
Right. And dealing with next, it's just a matter of transitioning and being okay with transitioning.
Yeah.
To
That's
what's
true.
next.
That's true.
And sometimes people struggle with transition.
That's
but
true.
transition can be very good.
That's right. So there's a scripture in the Bible, one of my favorite scriptures. I want to just kind of quote it to you. It comes from Isaiah 43:19. It says, "Behold, I will do a new thing in you."
Yes.
But it asks the question, which is one of my favorite questions out of all the questions that are asked in the Bible, and that is, will you not perceive it? He's doing a new thing. But the question is, will you perceive it? Will you recognize it? Will you notice it? Will it be something that causes you to not only acknowledge it, but walk in that direction?
And accept it.
And accept it.
Yeah.
So that means that God has already created a next for you.
Yeah.
And you have to be willing to accept what He has set forth in front of you. A lot of us just don't want to do it. We will wallow in what was or what is at the moment before we go into what can be. Even though what can be is always on our minds. God will wake us up in the middle of the night. He will cause us to have dreams about it, visions about it during the day while we at work, doing other things and other jobs and other things that we think will occupy our minds enough for us to forget what it is that God wants us to do. And God is saying, wait a minute, I've set up the next. When will you perceive it? When will you recognize it, acknowledge it, and walk in it?
Next is part of the plan.
Next is part of the plan. Just like that mistake was part of the plan.
Exactly.
But you didn't stop at that mistake. You got yourself up and you tried again, and you went to the next. You tried the next time. And that is what we are going to be talking about the next few times that we come together. I would like for you, anytime that you see us, we'll try to make sure we inform you that we're going to be on. But listen, y'all, my wife created or coined this phrase when we were about to get married, called the Ballards way. And what I realized is I don't think she knew what she was doing when she did that. The reason why I say that is because nothing about what we've been through since we've been together has been like any other situation we've been in our lives. We've been in other relationships, we've been in other situations, but when we got together, it has been unlike anything we could have ever fathomed or thought or think of. But we had to make the decision to say, what's next? Yeah. I know for her, it was a lot to get used to the type of person I am, and the same even for myself, trying to get used to you. But that was a next.
That's part of the plan.
Yeah. We didn't see it.
We did not see it.
but God already set it for us. That was a next already prepared. There is something, even in your connections, that is going to push you to your next. Anything that remains, that causes you to remain in where you are, is not something you need in your life right now. You got to have something or someone, some people, connections that's going to help push you to your next, that doesn't allow you to be comfortable in your now or even in your past. Yeah. So we're going to be talking about those things, and we want to make sure that you're a part of those things. So when you see it, all I ask you to do is, if you're on Facebook, like it and share it. Please do that. If you're on YouTube, and the YouTube page would be Said BTB, or you can go to Cedric Ballard. Just type in Cedric Ballard, CEDRIC BALLARD. You can go to the YouTube, or you can go to Facebook, and we'll be putting clips here and there on Instagram. What's your Instagram handle?
It is the Kimberly Ballard.
Yeah, it's beautiful, beautiful.
The Kimberly Ballard.
That's what it says.
That's what it says.
And mine is at Cedric Ballard. So we would like for you to be a part of this journey, because everybody has a next. And we want to help you, even as we help ourselves journey through the next. God is doing something new. And the question is, will you perceive it? And all I'm saying is, this is our time to go to what's next. You have anything else you want to share?
I think you said it all.
Said it all?
You said a lot.
I did good?
You did very well.
Really?
You did very well.
Oh my God.
Very well.
I did really good.
Because
y'all.
even as you're speaking, I believe that this message is going to minister to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it's going to open up their minds to the possibility of what is next.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all the things that the Lord, a lot of times the Lord have already put things on our heart of what's to come, but it's just about us moving into our next. Yeah. And sometimes fear will get in the way, sometimes doubt, sometimes people, sometimes when you can't even share what your next is. So
sometimes you don't even have it all together.
Sometimes you don't.
And I believe God said it that way on purpose, so that we could really follow him, in all thy ways. We have to acknowledge him, and he'll direct our path, because there are things that we are going toward in our next that we won't have all the answers to. We won't have everything mapped out, won't have every I dotted, every T crossed. We're just going to have to trust him in these certain aspects.
That's it. And our next is nothing but a prophecy.
That's right.
That comes in parts. And we have to allow him to guide and direct us and give us the rest of it.
That's right. That's right. So look, clearly you can see there's a lot that we have in store for you. And we would love, when I say love, we would love for you to come and join us and be a part of what's next. Until next time, y'all, remember, on Facebook, like and share. On YouTube, just like it. And, you can also subscribe to Cedric Ballard or Said BTV, or you can check out our Instagram. And when you see it, just share it, y'all. We appreciate you. We look forward to talking to you soon. Trust me, y'all, you got a next, and we're going to find out how to get there.
Together.
All right, y'all. Y'all be blessed.